Today, we explore the psychology of unfulfilled dreams, exposing the subtle obstacles that may be hindering your progress. Stay tuned for a candid discussion that goes beyond the surface. I'll share some of my biggest failures. If you're ready to make your dreams a reality, stick around. Here we go. This classic line of, if you dream upon a star, really applies to my life actually quite directly. I'll tell you a story. About a year after graduating college with a degree in economics, I was an intern in this international trade company. I didn't like what I was doing because I was creative, musical, and I wanted to do music. And it was not a reasonable career to choose, especially if you have a degree in economics. So I went away. I went to see my dad in Chile, and then I traveled up north with a couple of friends, and we backpacked into this remote place called the Elqui Valley in Chile. You can look it up. The mountains are not super high and snowy yet, but it's a lot of mountains, right? A beautiful river, and the skies, you could see the Milky Way. It was amazing. So I spent a few days there just sort of thinking about things and trying to figure out what to do with my life. And I was laying on this massive boulder, this massive rock, just looking at the sky in the middle of the night. And I remember thinking to myself, if I don't try it now, I'll regret it for the rest of my life. And there was this shooting star that came down. That's a coincidence, but I chose to interpret it as a sign. So I wished upon a star, actually quite literally. I decided to commit to my dreams, and a year later, I had 3 record companies on a bidding war trying to sign me for a record deal. The rest is history. That was my first professional success. Now, I've had lots of failures in 3 decades of life and work and coaching, training other leaders in the nonprofit and business world. And I've learned a few things, and I've made a bunch of mistakes. So I'm going to share some of those things now with you. These are the reasons why dreams die. If you feel a little stuck and your dreams have been quelched, deflated, and you're thinking maybe next year is going to be better, I have a hard truth for you. No one is coming to help you want to do the things you don't really want to do. Even your friends, even your closest friends are not going to make you do anything. They'll shake their heads. They'll give you some advice every once in a while. Okay, if you hit rock bottom, maybe they'll have an intervention and send you to rehab. But otherwise, no one is coming. In my first successful career, one thing I didn't want to do is I wanted to do creative work, but I didn't want to get into the business aspect of the business heavily. And I lost millions and millions of dollars over it because I just didn't want to do the things that I needed to do, and no one could make me do those things. And actually connected to the first thing, you'll never ever feel like doing what you need to do. You'll always have to push yourself, especially when it comes to just foundational values and character. Be consistent, be noble, be generous, be eager, be hungry, be patient, be systematic. Be curious. These qualities don't just crop up. They need to be nurtured. They need to be developed, right? In one of my later companies, I was relying heavily, it was a production company that was reliant heavily on an international market, a very niche and specific market. And I didn't feel like developing a systematic, diversified sales and marketing process to actually broaden my base of clientele. And then when that market collapsed, that was a very niche market, the business failed, and I missed out. You will never be good at something unless you become bad at it first. And it sounds like a very obvious thing, but it's actually not that obvious once you become established. We have a hard time making a fool of ourselves once we are something. And the truth is, incremental progress is not for the faint of heart. You have to fall in love with the process. But we want it easy. We want assurances. We want to control things. And dreams are, in their very nature, out of control things. That's why they're dreams. I'll give you an example. I wanted to get into media production, and I was really good at directing, at producing, at overseeing an editor. And then eventually I realized that I had to learn the editing process myself if I'm going to actually increase in the quality of the things that I do. And I had to basically hire somebody to teach me how to use the software and go through this painful step-by-step. I don't know what I'm doing. How do I find the titles? How do I do the transitions? What are the tools, the different plugins? All of those things I had to learn with my own hands, with my own head, until I became really, really good at it. And then it expanded me as a producer, as a director. Now I'm a very good editor, right? So it amplifies who you are and amplifies your success. Nothing will change until you change, and change dramatically. By the time we are 35, 40 years old, most of our thoughts, most of our habits, most of our skills are hardwired into the subconscious, 95% autopilot stuff. From the time we wake up and brush our teeth, to the routines in the bathroom when we go and get ready and have breakfast and go to work, to us driving our car, to us doing brain surgery. All of it is on autopilot. So the dreams that we develop sometimes are impossible just because we are on so much autopilot and we're unwilling to rewire ourselves, to look at our blind spots, take a step back and go, okay, what am I weak at? What am I failing over and over again? Because we have also failure on autopilot. I'll give you an example. I come from 3 generations of broken homes. Romance was not a gift set or a skill set in our family for 3 generations. And I kept doing that over and over and over again, like other people in my family, until I had to stop and go, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. First of all, let's just stop and analyze, why am I failing on autopilot? Second, who can help me with this stuff? And am I willing to actually rewire my brain and learn and be almost like a child, an apprentice? And that's exactly what happened. I've been married for 24 years, happy as can be, 3 beautiful daughters. But it starts with changing yourself. Nothing new will happen until you do something new. Sir Isaac Newton's first law of motion applies to the human experience, right? An object at rest will remain at rest until compelled to change its state by the action of an external force. That force is a decision that leads into massive action that is consistent enough to propel a dream that is static into motion. 30 years of doing my own stuff, teaching others, coaching others, I've seen this over and over and over again. Massive action is the only way to create something new. Very few people know, this is a story of failure, that at some point I actually wrote a little spy novel, and then I was talking to some friends that were in the sort of TV business, miniseries business, and we created a treatment that transferred this novel that was sort of a spy novel, international spy novel, into a miniseries. And it was actually better and better. It was like gardening for me. It was a creative exercise. It was just therapeutic. I loved doing it. And then it became more and more real. And then it was actually seriously considered by a TV channel to be produced as a miniseries. But I did not take massive action. I just didn't, right? And therefore, no novel, no miniseries. And nobody knows I ever thought of that. Nobody knows of those characters. Nobody knows of those adventures. Nobody will ever know how amazing that would have been. Something wonderful I learned in my early 20s, laying on that boulder, looking at the starry sky in the mountains of Chile, is that there's an art and a science to making dreams come true. And anyone can learn it. So what are your dreams? What are you going to do to make them come true? Has the decision been made? Are you willing to change who you are? Are you expecting new things to happen without you doing new things? What is that force going to be that will take a wish, a body that is static, into reality, a body in motion? If you want to learn more, please subscribe to this channel, forward it to someone who needs it, and subscribe to our newsletter. It comes every Sunday morning with tons of tips and material. If you're getting serious about this, you might want to consider my coaching program, Xponential Life. This is exactly what we do with professionals who want to develop their dreams. Thanks for watching.